Hey, my name is Stéphane Reynaud. I'm a SciTools Understand expert. We will be looking at just simply setting a C and C++ project in Understand. Just a quick one, simple to get you started. Let's go. So first, let's explain what is Understand. Understand is simple program that lets you parse your code, and then it finds all the entities and the relationship between those entities. And we are talking about entities in the code. For instance, here you can see that simple program. Okay, it's a dumb program, but it's really good to explain. We have the main function here. There is one variable, and there is a call to a function. Well, Understand is going to find all the entities in that code, and you can see them here in the entity filter on the left. A, function, function.h, those are the file, main, the function, p, which actually is a parameter to function. We can right click on A, we can actually see things about it. A is a local object, a local variable. So everything becoming an entity, and you can right click on everything. Okay, I can right click on function as well. I can do view information, and then I actually know that it is a function. So you can right click on everything in Understand, and you get a menu for that entity. So everything in your code will be understood and will be displayed, and you will actually go be able to explore it. So there is this, and there is also relationship between things. So in this simple program, for instance, well, guess what? There is a relationship where main is calling function. So if you do a call, a graphical views, and you do a call on main, well, guess what? You'll be able to see that there is a relationship call between main and function. This is the way you will be able to build call trees. So entities, relationship. Also, for instance, A, where is it used? Well, you can do graphical views, object reference. It will show you all the places where A is used. Again, simple relationship. So think of it that way. Understand is a big database of entities, all what's in the code, and relationship. And our goal when we set up a project is to set it up so that every entity is recognized and so that everything falls in place. Just one note before we get started. If you look at the function here, a function is defined and is declared in two different places, right? If I actually click on function.a and I do edit definition, I will jump in the CPP file where function is defined. If I go back and I click and I do edit declaration, you will see that function is actually declared in function.h. So there is two places, two concepts for each entity, where they are declared and where they are defined. We'll get back to that a little bit later. Entity, relationship, and knowing where things are defined and declared. Our next goal, set up a project so that we can all get all that falling in the right place. Let's go. Okay, so ready to set up the project? Let's go. So this is Understand 6.0. If you are using 5.0, menu may look a little bit different, but this is just fine. We'll create file, new project. And at this stage, the SciTools people are really nice. They try to make your life easy. So there is ways to do things here, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to create a project simply so that you can understand the underpinnings of things. So we'll just hit continue here. We're not adding any file at this moment. Next, we will select where we want to store the project. It's a UND file. So we'll go and we'll select the directory in which we want to store this project. At this stage, a good approach is to set it up where or on top of your project file. So in this specific case, I am under video project, get started, and then I will call it get started UND. So this will be where my project will be stored. I will also configure advanced setting after project creation. That will let me set up all what I need. And then I will select enforce portability. I will explain that in a future video what this is about. We'll create the project. So right now, I have created a project with nothing in it. That's our first stage. And now it's going to ask me to set up options, add files, and all those things. For 1 second, I'm not to do it. I'm going to hit cancel here. And I'm going to show you where you find those options. It's all in project, configure project. You can go back and you are going to find that same exact windows that popped up when you started the project. We'll select the language, C, C++. And then we have a C++ here that's just been added. This is where you can select all your options. I will look quickly in the options here. There is 2 modes, strict and fuzzy. We'll start with strict right now. And then we'll have like, the compiler we want to use. Again, just set up the closest to what your compiler is. We don't rely on the compiler. The C, C++ level you want to set. Again, I'm not going to go too much in those details. Just, you're good there. At that point, you have a C, C++ project. Now, we need to add files. So how do we do this? We go in files here and we can add either directory or files. And the question is, what do you add? So here is my recommendation. You want to add all the .c file where the definition of things you want to be part of your project are. So do not include third-party C file or CPP file, only what is part of your project. And also add the .h, add the header file of your project where the class and everything that you will be using will be declared. The one thing you don't want to add is the system header or third-party header. I will show you where you set that up later. So only the files that are part of your project. So we'll do this quickly. I can add file here. I go, it's all in my code. I will add my 2 CPP file here, function and main CPP. And I will also, as I explained, add the include file, the .h. And one thing is, it's better to put less files than more files. So start small, start with the single file. Understand is able to contain a single file. Even if your project is 1,000 lines or 1,000 files, just adding 2 or 3, it should be able to analyze them correctly. So just keep it simple at the beginning, set the options so that you can get those few files set up right, and then start building from there. Do not do the opposite, adding a lot of files and spending a month trying to set up your project right. So we'll do this. And then the next thing you want to do is to make sure that main, who actually include function.h, is able to find it. And that can be done in a lot of different ways. There's 2 that can be done. You can go in include here and you can select this option, which is search for include files among project file. It will automatically look for .h in the file you have added. But that's not always the best option, and that's not what I recommend. I recommend unselected everything here in the C++ option and adding the path to your header here. And this is done here. You do new, you select where you want to add. This is C, my video project, get started code into my include directory. I'm adding this directory here into my include path. And this way, they will be able to find the include. I do this, I hit OK. It says, do you analyze the code? And then I'm getting 0 error. I have all my entity here, and we are done, right? My function.cpp, my main.cpp, the project we just saw earlier. Everything's good, and if I right-click on function here, I can go edit file, it will open function.h. Because function.h is in my project, everything will be in the right color, everything is well understood. And you can actually easily check that on the project by making sure that when you right-click on an entity, you see view information. So if I right-click on A, I see view information, I know that A is well analyzed. I know that function is well analyzed. So make sure this is a little check. All right, makes sense? Well, let me tell you about a few tricks or a few problems you may encounter. But that's just the way you get started, and you get started small. Okay, so far we have had a simple project with our own file in it. But project, we use third parties, all those things become a little complex. So here's one tip. If you look at the program right now, I have started to decide to use the boost array. It's a third-party library. If you don't know Boost, you must know Boost. It's like an amazing library. Anyway, you can see I'm adding the include here for the Boost, and I'm also using the Boost array here. I'm putting a cat in basically a number 0 array. Not that interesting, but I'm using a third-party library. So what happens if I try to analyze this project as is? I will do project, analyze all file, and then I will get an error. Boost array.hpp is not available. And that's where we are on a strict parser. Remember at some point I selected strict. So you can see, start looking at the code here. If I right click on the array, I don't see view information. If I right click on string, I don't see view information. So this has not been parsed correctly. This parser is a little bit harsh on you. It's difficult. He complains a lot. So to make him happy, how do we go about adding Boost to our project? Well, the first mistake to not do is to add the Boost file in your project. That is not the way to go. What you want to do is you go project, configure project, and simply add the include to the third-party libraries in the includes path. The same way you would do with the compiler. So we'll do new, and then I have Boost here under C demo flow open source Boost 173. This is my Boost directory. I'm just selecting this folder. I'm adding it to the project like this. I do OK, and then it's going to reanalyze it. And guess what? 0 error. Now you start looking at here and you see that all the Boost concepts are actually in gray. Well, this is because we don't have their definition in the project. Remember, those files are not included. But I can click on Boost on the array. I can see view information. It is a class template. It is well known. String as well here is well known. So everything is fine. Everything has been parsed correctly. And that's because I had the third-party library. And like a simple compilation, I just had to add them to the include. All right, question is, what happened if I don't have the third-party library? So let's see, and let's look at that example. So here we are again. This time, it's like we don't have the Boost header file. We don't know where it is. We don't have it. We don't have the third-party library. It's a case for a lot of people I talk to. Sometimes they are missing things. So if I analyze my code here and I do the analyze, right? I'm getting 0. I can't find the header. My things here don't show view information. And it's actually like, you know, on a big project, it will trickle down. And then eventually you have a project which is really not that fun to work with because most of the stuff is not defined. So how do you solve it? Well, Understand is a brilliant tool which is able to deal with incomplete project. I don't know anybody that can do that except us. So what you do is you do project, you do configure project, and then you will actually just select in the C++, in the options here, you will select the fuzzy parser. And the fuzzy parser is your friend. He's super lenient. He's trying to figure out things for you. You just select the fuzzy instead of the strict. You go at it, you do this, you reanalyze it, and then guess what? Now everything has been understood. But that doesn't mean we know what they are. But at least you can right click on things, array for instance, if you do view information, it will show you it's an unknown member object, doesn't know what it is, but at least I'm parsed and I'm doing a fairly good job at parsing things. So if you use a project in which you are missing header, you don't know how to compile it, you want to use what's called the fuzzy parser over the strict parser. But what you will lose there is, you know, there is some information you will not be able to get out of the fuzzy parser. But again, use the fuzzy parser if you don't know much about your project, you don't know how to compile it. If you know how to compile the project, use the strict, set it up correctly, and work it out. But again, remember, what I'm talking about here is that if you are missing header, if you just want to analyze one file of your project and you know how to compile it, just analyze that one file. It should return 0 error with a strict parser. So start small and slowly increase like that. Add your third-party libraries, and then you will see, like, you will start understanding how it works, and you will be able to set up like gigantic project. So we'll do a quick summary before we go, but I hope you have enjoyed this. So here's a quick summary for tonight. Select your language, C, C++, all the other language work with similar concept. Add your file to the project. Again, just add the file you want to work on. Do not add a million files in there. There is no point. Focus on what you want. And yes, if you want to add a million files, do it. There is ways to do that. There is way to automate this. It will work. In the C++, select strict or fuzzy. Fuzzy for incomplete project, strict for project you know how to build. And then if you know how to build your project, make sure you put your third-party library. Make sure you put your own include into the include here. If you are lazy, do search for include among project files. Again, not recommended, but set up your include, set up your macro. And one last thing I have not talked to you about before is that if include need to be defined at a file level, you can do that in the file directory here, meaning if I right click on the file, I will be able to configure override, and that will let me set up include and macro at that file level. So that's the way you compile more complex project, but we'll do a video about this. But this is all there is to understand. Now go, enjoy, try your project, don't stress it. It's actually fairly easy once you get to it. I hope this video helped you. Have a good night. I will talk to you soon.